Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Scores Studio. Welcome to the show. So I don't know if you heard, but mini spoiler season, or probably one of many mini spoiler seasons, maybe there's gonna be some leaks too, like there always is here, apparently. Yeah, March of the Machines. I'm not sure if you realize this is happening, but apparently Wizards is like, no, it's paying attention to me. Here's some cards. Regardless, Thalia and the Gitrog monster are back in one card. A 4/4 human frog horror that has first strike and death touch and costs 1 white, black, green. It says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, and whenever Thalia and the Gitrog monster attacks, sacrifice a creature or land, then draw a card. So, oh my goodness, this is, well, pretty brutal because, yeah, there's a lot going on here. All of it good for you if you're playing this as your commander, and some bad things for your opponents. First up, first strike and death touch. That is the combination that is quite potent. Basically Glissa, essentially, right? The Golgari Glissa is what I mean. You know, I'm totally fumbling this, but you know what I mean. First strike, death touch, incredibly brutal because, hey, in combat, this is nearly unstoppable because if your opponents block, they basically have to block with 5 creatures to try to take this out. Or, okay, yes, indestructible or whatnot. Regardless, yeah, first strike, death touch means you can just assign 1 point of damage to any of your opponent's creatures to take them out, and you're going to be hitting first again thanks to that first strike. So it's basically unstoppable in combat, and also a great blocker. So yeah, maybe get this Vigilance too. Why not? Anyways, next up, play additional land each of your turns. Very, very powerful, obviously. Ramping in Commander is very important. And this is a 4-mana commander that gives you a lot of things, including the ability to say, you know what, let's just start hypercharging our mana base, essentially. Hey, you know, on the other side of that, let's slow down our opponents. Here's some brutal things. Hey, yeah, your creatures come to play tapped, so, yeah, they're less effective. You're going to have less blockers even to try to stop me. And also, non-basic lands also come to play tapped under your control. Many players use a lot of non-basic lands, and now all of them come into play tapped. So, slow things down. I'm going to speed things up. And speaking of which, hey, whenever Thalia the Gitrog monster attacks, sacrifice a creature or land, and then draw a card. So, yeah. We have plenty of different, you know, things that we can sacrifice for value, essentially, when these colors. I mean, this is like the perfect color combination for aristocrats, essentially. So, yeah, we've got plenty of creatures that are like, you know what, sacrifice me for value. And then, yeah, you get to draw an additional card on top of that. And yes, this is an attack trigger. But again, your commander is incredibly protected in combat. It's going to be hard to stop. Yeah, many players are big fans of, well, the Gitrog monster, Thalia, and also, yeah, this color combination and lands. So I can see this commander being quite popular, players being very excited about it, and yeah, I'm going to be talking about a lot of cards that work very well with it in this episode. I'm going to be talking about some budget buys, cards that are less than $1 within my own budget, then some pricier picks, cards that are outside of my budget, some of which that are much outside of my budget. Regardless, there is a link that has every single one of those cards in the description below, so make sure you check that out, especially if you're excited about this commander. Yeah, you might want to start picking up some cards sooner rather than later, because sometimes cards tend to go up in price quite quickly when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled. Now, with all that said, let's jump into it. Let's start things off with our budget buys. Again, cards that are less than $1. First up, yeah, you are in green, right? I mean, obviously you're in green, and your commander lets you get more lands into play, and you've got plenty of other ways to ramp and get lands into play. So, landfall, yeah, Rampaging, Balos, Mirrored Angel, Feldar Retreat are great, fantastic budget cards that you can really utilize with a commander like this. Rampaging Balos, hey, whenever a land comes into play, let's get a 4/4 beast. Gross. And also, again, keep in mind, yeah, adding up, you know, and making more and more creatures in your army can be a great source of fodder for your commander to sacrifice for value. So maybe sacrifice some smaller creatures, like, you know, the ones that a Mirrored Angel makes. 1/1 birds with flying. Also, just nice to have some flyers on board as well. Feldar Retreat. This one is very flexible and very great. Hey, landfall. Choose one. Create a 2/2 cat beast creature token. That's nice. Or get a counter on each creature you control. This creatures gain Vigilance on a turn. Like I mentioned earlier, Vigilance can be great with this commander. Getting counters on all your creatures can be huge. And again, you're going to have plenty of ways to get a lot of lands into play very quickly. So do that. Get a lot of lands into play. Get a massive army. Make them huge. And, yeah, take your opponents out. Speaking of taking things out, Trove Warden. Hey, landfall. Whenever a land enters battlefield under control, exile target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 less from your graveyard. It says permanent, not non-land, so you can get lands back with this too. Because when this dies, you get each permanent card exile with it onto the battlefield under the control of that card's owner. So basically, hey, yeah, store up a bunch of things with your Trove Warden. Then when you need to, you've got a built-in sacrifice out with your commander. Just swing with your commander, get that trigger, sacrifice this, get all those things back from your graveyard right into play. And when it comes to value, yeah, sad robot. Oh, poor robot. Solemn Simulacrum. 2/2 enters the battlefield. Yeah, go ramp further. Great. Again, we've got plenty of landfall triggers we can take advantage of. Go get a land into the battlefield tapped. On top of that, when this dies, draw a card. So by sacrificing this with our commander on that attack trigger, we're going to be drawing 2. Colony Heart Expedition. Speaking of sacrificing, hey, let's get some lands into play. Let's get more counters on this. It just takes 3 quest counters for this to be sacrificed. When we do, we get 2 more lands into play tapped. Yeah, things get really absurd. You can go really quick with a commander like this. And yeah, there's just some absolutely gross and awesome landfall things you can do. But of course, there are even more ways to ramp. I mean, Druid class, hey, do you want to play additional lands as well? Just get this to level 2. Level 1 also gains you some life too, which is great. But yeah, level 2, you can play additional land on each of your turns. So yeah, now on top of the lands that you're already playing, just normally the extra lands that you're playing with your commander, you get to play even more with this. And this is on top of course, all the rampant growth type effects. You can get an absurd amount of lands into play incredibly quickly and get way ahead of your opponents. Now, also, you can take advantage of your commander's Death Touch and First Strike with things like Lure. Lure is an enchantment, an enchant aura. Hey, get this on your commander. All creatures able to block enchant creature do so. Your opponent, again, would not want to block with their creatures on your commander because your commander is very deadly in combat, like I mentioned earlier. Now they have to, though, and let's say they have 4 creatures. Well, you just wiped out all of their creatures with this. So yeah, this can be incredibly powerful. Viridian Longbow, speaking of powerful, another way to go about this though is with something like this with a more targeted approach. Proof creature has tap, this creature deals 1 damage to any target. Again, your commander has Death Touch, so you're like, okay, yeah, tap 1 damage to that, oh, that creature's dead. Tap 1 damage to that, oh, that creature's dead. So yeah, this is another way to really take advantage of that Death Touch. Make sure you're considering cards like these. Next up, let's talk about our pricier picks. Again, cards that are above $1. And you know what goes really well with Thalia and the Gitrog monster? The Gitrog monster, a 6/6 frog horror that has Death Touch that costs 3 black-green. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog monster, sacrifice a land. So we're going to do that. Also, on top of that, we can play additional land each of our turns. That's nice. And whenever one of our land cards put in our grave from anywhere, we draw a card. So if we are sacrificing lands with this, great. Sacrificing lands with our commander, great. Drawing additional cards from that attack trigger from our commander, as well as every single land that hits our graveyard, again, from anywhere. And yeah, also another way to play additional lands. What's not to love about this combination? Speaking of which, Azusa, Lost But Seeking. Very simple, very straightforward. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. So yeah, we're going to get an absurd amount of lands into play incredibly quickly. And again, with all those landfall triggers, gross. Oracle Moldiah, hey, play additional land each of your turns. That's nice. So again, another way, yet another way. There's a ton of ways to play extra lands. Play the top card of your library revealed. Oh, and by the way, hey, if there are lands on top of your library, you can play them. You can play lands off the top. So yeah, more value from our commander, more value from this, and more value from all of our landfall triggers. And speaking of landfall value, Tireless Provisioner, Scoot Swarm, and Greensleeves. Here we go. Tireless Provisioner. Whenever land enters battlefield under control, create a food token, which you're not going to do the vast majority of the time, or a treasure token. Yeah, that's it. We're just going to get a lot of free mana with this throughout the game. Scoot Swarm. Do you want insects? Do you like insects? How about an incredible amount of insects? How about so many insects you got to get a calculator out because you're not going to math that hard? Landfall. Whenever land is battlefield under control, you get a 1/1 green insect creature token. And if you control 6 or more lands, yeah, you're easily going to get that. You can get to that, like, the turn after you get your commander out, essentially, right? Hey, get a token that's copy of Scoot Swarm instead. So you just make more Scoot Swarms, which makes more Scoot Swarms, which makes more Scoot Swarms. Basically, doubling every single time you get a land into play. Gross, gross, gross. Greensleeves Moral Sorcerer, one that goes about this in a different way. Greensleeves is going to power tough equal the number of lands you control, so that can be a lot of power, essentially, right? Because again, you're going to get a ton of lands into play, but of course, on top of that, Greensleeves is going to bring some friends as well. Whenever a land enters battlefield under your control, create a 3/3 green badger. So it's song gets stuck in my head right there. Creature token. So yeah, you can not only go tall with this, but also wide. There's plenty of ways to take your opponents out with lands. And when it comes to creature fodder, yeah, Bloodghast can be a great one. It can't block, that's okay though, but it has haste as long as the opponent's 10 or less life, that's nice. But most importantly, landfall. Whenever land enters battlefield under control, you may return Bloodghast from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, you're going to be playing a lot of lands, getting a lot of lands into play, and again, with your commander's attack trigger, you can sacrifice this to draw a card, and then yeah, just play a land, get it back. do it again. Just keep doing that. A fantastic piece of creature fodder. Nemesis Mask, a great card, kind of like a lore effect, but on equipment. All creatures able to block what creature do so. So again, a way to basically turn your commander into a mini board wipe in a way. Drayth Magistrate, hey, if you want to really lean heavily into kind of that Thalia side of the card, where it's more so like, yeah, your opponents are going to get slower and can't do certain things. Drayth Magistrate's like, yeah, you can't do something very important, which is can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hand. Which also includes their commanders. So yeah, the command zone is a no-no for your opponents, and now they can't cast that. So yeah, if you really want to be brutal and do that, yeah, go for it. Lean into those hate bear effects, but you might want to ask your playgroup first if they're okay with all these hate bear effects before you do that. But yeah, this commander is one that I think many players out there are going to be really excited about. Again, two characters that many players out there really enjoy, Thalia and the Gitrog monster. An interesting combination that I definitely didn't expect to see. But yeah, Abzan definitely fits this, this kind of feeling for this commander, this kind of, hey, Death Touch, First Strike, also additional lands. Also, yeah, let's have a hate bear effect in there too. And then, yeah, some aristocrat style kind of, card advantage too. So there's a lot going on with this commander, a lot of powerful things that you can do. And again, if you are interested in this commander, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. And with that, today's episode is coming to a close, so yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.